Yep, I got that prompt.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Easton Library Community Book Chat. I'm Kristine Ullman, the Youth Services Librarian, and joining me today is the brand new principal of Helen Keller Middle School, Dr. Stephen Clapp. Dr. Clapp, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks, Kristine. This is quite an honor and a privilege. I can't wait to talk about one of my favorite books.
I know, books are fun to talk about, right?
Sure are.
So, but first of all, let's talk just for a second about HKMS. It's such an amazing school. And how have you been enjoying your first few months?
Oh, it's like a dream come true, really, Kristine. It's been a kind of a homecoming because I taught in Reading for years before I had a chance to be an administrator in another district, and I was so excited to come back to ER9. And I've always admired Helen Keller as a community and Easton as a community. So it's been a real privilege to come in here, and it's this very robust program, but it's a small school at the same time. So it's got this kind of incredible blend of expertise, high levels of rigor, but it's also small and intimate and warm and supporting. So it's been great to get to know the place and to find my niche in there and try to add a little bit of energy in places that and some extra work in places that haven't had much attention lately. So it's nice. I'm having my own little touches here and there, but trying not to mess it up too much either.
Yeah, so I've had my two older kids have gone through or are at Barlow now, but my littlest one, she's still there. So you still have her.
Yep.
Every day.
Yep. Yep, she's great. She's great. It's a great place. So it's wonderful.
So, Dr. Clapp, you chose such a cool, iconic, fantastic book to talk about, and it is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. Fantastic.
Yeah. Here's what my copy looks like. It's a little more tattered.
Yeah, I've heard that you have so you told me earlier that you have, is this like your copy from college that you have?
Yeah, this is my copy from college that I believe it was 96 when I read it, 96, 97 is when I read it. So this is the Penguin House copy from right from that time period. Still has some of my sticky notes and side notes and annotations that I made as I was working through that book. And I didn't read it for a college class. It was a book that came to me because people around me were reading it, and I think I was kind of I was searching, much like Kerouac was, like Sal in the book was searching for what I was going to do with my life. I was at that kind of freshman, sophomore year, like right in that range where I was trying to look down the road, so to say, and see where my career was going to go. And I didn't know. So, and this happened to be a friend suggested it. And so I read it, and it's been an important part of my life ever since, I think. So
yeah, I love that you have your old I have old copies of special books. Yeah. And it's like it takes you right back. Can you hold it up so we can see all your little post-its and stuff?
Yeah. It doesn't look great on the bookshelf, it's all kind of torn up and I've read it a few different times, and we got some of my jobs in there.
That's what's so great about it, though.
Yeah, I know. It's like an old friend.
Yeah.
And preparing for this, going through it just takes you right back. It's funny, the words and the phrases and the way he writes, and some of my notes too of what a 20-year-old version of myself was thinking about at the time. So it's interesting. So I'm so glad that we agreed on this one. So it's great.
It's a good one. What did you like about the book?
So as I said, I was at kind of a crossroads in my life where I thought I was going to be on one path. I'd kind of gone into out of high school and going into college, was a pre-law kind of, and I was going to go to law school and go to DC and get into politics. That was kind of like my high school version of what I wanted to do. And I actually got really sick in my senior year in high school, and I was hospitalized for a while, had my spleen removed. I was fine, but coming out of that whole experience, it was kind of like, wow, life is short kind of a thing. Do I really want to do that? And I kind of struggled for a little while trying to find a new road. And not long, so during that part, I came to this book, and there's so many similarities between Kerouac and my own journey. He had been ill as well right before he went on the road with his friends, with his friend Neil Cassidy and Allen Ginsberg, and which is the basis of the book. And so knowing that it was somewhat autobiographical was very interesting. That he was French Canadian, and I have French Canadian blood in my family, and he was from Massachusetts, and I'm from Massachusetts. So I found like all these kind of like connections to him before I even opened the book. And then, you know, the whole beatnik thing was kind of cool, and the whole like mythology around, he wrote this on one long scroll and kind of stream of consciousness was such a like kind of cool thing. So like all of that wrapped into this this book that I was just super attracted to. And then I think my favorite thing about the book though is just the language that he uses and the prose, the style of it very much reminds me of like a great jazz improvisation. You know, it's like some of it has rhythm to it, and it kind of flows off. And his long sentences, you almost have to not pay attention to all the words to get the meaning. If that makes any sense, you kind of have to lose yourself in it a little bit. And it's a pretty cool book that you can do that with, and it just kind of the pages just kind of fly by.
I love that how you compared it to music. That's a really great analogy. That's really cool.
Yeah, it very much is. And so jazz is such an important part of the story too, and of the time period. You know, in the context of when this all took place, jazz is certainly a major character of the book.
Yeah. So I also heard you. Well, you told me. I didn't hear it. You told me that you named your daughter after one of the characters, or you just the name stuck with you somehow.
Yeah. So you know, the kind of the main character is his name's Sal. He's not modeled after Jack Kerouac. It's very much a self-portrait in a lot of ways. And his kind of road sidekick is a man named Neil Cassidy in real life. In the book, he's named Dean Moriarty. And Neil Cassidy was, and Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg was the kind of third kind of main character in the book, who goes by Carlo Marx in the book. Neil Cassidy and Kerouac were such big influential. They had such influence on all the culture that was kind of the late 1950s and into the 60s, like on the beatnik generation. Like he's kind of often called like the king of the beatniks. And Neil Cassidy, of course, was influential on lots of different people, including the Grateful Dead, who I became a big fan of in college, of the Grateful Dead. And their song Cassidy was such a beautiful song. And when I met my wife, when we met in college, we were kind of playing that game, like, if we ever have kids, what would we name them? You know? And the song Cassidy happened to be playing in the background. I said, Cassidy Clapp, wouldn't that be a cool name? And you know, you listen to the lyrics in that song, and it's born to be Cassidy, and it's like it's actually a song about Neil Cassidy and one of their friends, one of the writers of the song, Bob Ware. He had a friend of his had a daughter and named her Cassidy, and so it's kind of this homage to Neil Cassidy and an homage to this young girl who was born. And I thought, oh, what a great name for a child. And you know, 17 years later, we had a daughter, and we named her Cassidy.
That's a great story. I love that when sometimes, I mean, you know, when you have a child and you try to really, you know, you have a name that's somehow special to you that you think will really just be so perfect for this child. But when it has a story like that behind it, that's even better. Yeah. That's really good.
It's pretty cool. So, and then when the song comes on, she knows the song's about her. And she actually saw the book. I was bringing it in to school today, and she asked me about it. And I said, oh, there's a character named Cassidy in the book. And she's like, oh, shoot. So she wanted to know about it. So someday she'll read it and she'll connect to it, hopefully, in the same way. You know, what's been interesting though, Kristine, is going through it again. It's just some of the, it is, you know, definitely a historical piece. You know, it's set in a time. Mm-hmm. And, you know, one of the things that stood out to me that didn't stand out at the time was kind of the real level of misogyny, and there's really some tough racial language in there, and some real stereotypes that fall in, you know, and I was trying to think, like, is this still one of my favorite books because of that? And I think if you take a book out of its context, you take any book out of its full context, that you couldn't write this book today. You know, this wouldn't be a book that would go to publication today because of that. But I think when you look at the context, it really does kind of, as a historian, I love the picture it paints of America in the 1940s, the post-war generation of coming out of the war and discovering America, and this kind of richness of life that was available. Like, you think about the war period, all the material, everything that had to be carefully cared for, like, and fuel was I'm not coming up with the right word, when the government held
rationing, yeah,
rationing, when all the rationing was happening. And then we have this post-war period where all this is available and this kind of prosperity, and these guys go out on the road to kind of suck the marrow from the bone of life, right? And they paint, it's an honest depiction of what that life was like for kind of a white privileged male, heterosexual male, to go through. What that was like. So I kind of had to struggle with that a little bit because that's, but it's an honest depiction of what that was like, and so you have to take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. I think that's probably true of a lot of classics.
Yeah. I mean, would we want to change, Huckleberry Finn, or To Kill a Mockingbird? Those are tough ones to promote to kids and to read with kids and stuff like that. But I think if you contextualize things and talk about why it's controversial or why it might be hurtful to people, then it still holds up, the storyline. Because I think the storyline, and if somebody out there hasn't read it, why I would encourage someone to read it, it's about relationships, and it's about a journey. It's about a journey of self-discovery, and it's about a journey of a relationship with a friend who isn't always a healthy friend. A Dean Moriarty isn't like this. The Neil Cassidy character is not necessarily someone you'd want to live up to. He's someone who's chasing a good time all the time, and if that includes you, that's great. And if it doesn't include you, then he's off having a good time too. So it's not necessarily a good friend or a good person, but there's certainly parts of our life where we're like, yeah, I mean, sometimes I think we all have one of those friends, right, Kristine, who
everyone has,
a great person, great time, but wow, after a while, I just have to go back and be normal again,
Yeah, definitely. Have you ever taken a cross-country road trip, like in the book?
I have not. I'd love to. We were close to it last year. We were going to rent a camper and we were going to head out to the Grand Canyon and do that. I have driven down the East Coast all the way to Florida. And so I love the route. I always like, when I'm over on Route 1, I always think that Route 1 goes all the way from Maine down to Miami.
Yeah.
But I haven't done the westward trip yet, but it's definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah, maybe you need to pack up Cassidy and off you go, right?
Yeah, wouldn't that be fun? Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. So on the road, we have it here for a print version at the library to check out. And we also have a downloadable audiobook. If you want to listen to it, you can check that out too. So it's available at the library for checkout or for curbside pickup. And you can find it on our website if you hit the search the catalog button and just type in On the Road. And I hope people get a chance to read it. Just for, like you said, that great little snippet of a very specific time in American history. And it's a great little illustration of what that was like for certain people. And I want to thank you so much, Dr. Clapp, for coming on to Easton Library Community Book Chat with me.
Oh, it's been so much fun, and always happy to talk books anytime, Kristine. So can't wait till we can do these back in person again and really dive into it.
Yeah, that would be great. And thank you everybody so much for joining us, and stay well and come see us again. And I hope to see you in the library really soon.
All right. Thanks.